Hey guys, Todd here again with HobbyLink Japan, and yes, it is time for another review, and it's another review of a HG RX-78-2 Gundam. I know everybody has been waiting for this review. It seems like it's been so long since I have reviewed an RX-78. Okay, well maybe it hasn't been so long, but finally! The latest release is here. It is the Beyond Global Edition. Now, before we get into talking about this kit, just want to remind all of your viewers out there, please be sure to hit that subscribe button below. Every last subscriber definitely helps, and a lot of our viewers out there watching the videos just are not subscribed for some reason or another. I don't know why that would be. It got me. But anyway, hit that subscribe button to be sure to stay up to date with all the latest releases that are due out. Okay, so now getting back into this release. So yes, this is for the 40th anniversary of Gunpla. It is the Beyond Global Edition of the HG RX-78. So here we got the instruction manual. Now this kit had some really nice art for the box as well as for this instruction manual here. So this is quite cool to see. And here on the back of this as well, I guess maybe if you were to pause that video, hopefully it will come out. If you were to pause it for a second, maybe you might be able to read all that text because they do have the Japanese and the English. And then down here as well, it kind of talks about like the timeline for all the kits that they have released so far. So starting actually the same year that I was born, so starting in 1980, you had the very first release, the 1/144th scale Gundam. So this kit was a glued kit, a kit that you glue together, and you'll need to paint it, so it doesn't come out of the box like that. Definitely not a snap kit. However, in 1990, they had the first HG release. Now this kit was kind of cool. I actually have one of these in my stash. I just never gotten around to building it. But this was kind of cool because they had the technology like you see in the real grade kits these days, where you get like two different colors molded onto the same part. So they were using that kind of thing for this kit back in those days, but I guess it wasn't as reliable as it is nowadays with the real grade kit. So this kit is discontinued, been out a while, but you still can hunt them down used on eBay and whatnot. And then 1999 they had the first release of the HG UC series. So this has been going on for 20 years, the HG UC series, and shortly after the start of the HG UC series, they did release another RX-78, which we'll look at it in a second. I've got that kit here with me as well. So then the real grade series started 10 years ago. I guess it's been 10 years since real grade started in 2010. And 5 years, it doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but 5 years ago we got the revived version of the RX-78. I've got that one here as well. And then this year it's saying 2020, so a model that integrates 40 years of technology. So the latest Beyond Global is the newest 40 years of technology have all merged into this Gundam. So this timeline does not mention the G30th edition, it does not mention the Origin series edition, it does not mention the G40th Gundam as well, which is also an RX-78, but it's designed by a famous designer, so it doesn't look like your standard RX-78, but those are not in the timeline. I guess they're just kind of keeping it towards, I don't know, these specific kits for some reason or another. But anyway, alright, so let's start taking a look at the kit itself. So one thing you'll notice right away by looking at this kit is that the colors are a bit slightly different than we see on other previous Gundams here. So we've got, let me bring over the Revive, because I think the Revive is kind of going to be the, oh, not the Revive, sorry, the Origin. The Origin is kind of going to be the one that's going to show off the differences best, I think. So the latest Beyond Global edition of the RX-78 has a more faded type of color scheme to it. So the blues are definitely more faded. The reds are more pinkish because they're kind of faded. The yellows are definitely more faded as well, and the whites as well. The lighting might not be able to show it off as well as I was kind of really hoping, especially with that blue background, but I think you can really kind of see the difference between the Origin and the new Beyond Global. So the Origin has your more standard crisp type of color, not faded at all. The white is like pure white, the yellows are pure yellow, the blues are pure blue, and same with the reds. So yeah, kind of it's a interesting, I'm kind of digging this color scheme, to be honest. It looks really nice once I had this kit built. So I was kind of, originally I was a bit not maybe the biggest fan of the faded type of color scheme that they did for this kit, but actually once it has been built, I actually gotta say it looks quite nice. It looks really stunning with this type of color scheme. Alright, so moving on from that, let's talk about the color separation a little bit, although not going to be a whole lot really to talk about with this kit compared to that other one that I did the other week, which was that it was from the Seed series. I can't remember, the Force Impulse maybe it was, or was that the RG? I can't remember off the top of my head, but this kit does something, at least one part, a bit different from other HG releases, at least. Not the real grade. I won't get into the real grade because the real grade is still remains the best of how they did the color separations on that kit compared to this one. But at least for the high grade series of kits, this kit does a really great job of the color separation for the parts molded in different types of colors. Now, the one thing that I really like the most is the fact that finally for this kit, on his waist here, that little kind of yellow V that's there on his waist, this is actually finally, this is a part that is molded in color, and it's sandwiched, so that red plastic piece has a cutout for where that gets sandwiched into, and little yellow piece just sandwiches right in there. So pretty much nearly every HG release so far, including the G40th, has always, that part has always been a sticker. So the Origin Kit sticker, the original, I think, was it 2001 was the original HG RX-78. That's a sticker. The Revive was a sticker. Actually, I built the Revive, and for some reason, I don't know if I reviewed this for the show or not, for some reason I never put that sticker on his waist V there, so someday. I've probably lost it, to be honest. But yeah, it's really nice to see that part there molded in color. Now, there is one part I really wish they had figured out how to mold in color, and they did this on the real grade kit, which was 10 years old, so I wish they had given us that on this one, but they did not. So the head unit here, let's take a look at the head unit. So it does a pretty nice job. You got the chin, you got that little red piece molded there for his chin. You got the red underneath his eyes. There is a sticker. That's actually the only sticker that you're going to apply for this kit is going to be that eye sticker there. So the eye is a sticker, but yeah, the other pieces are going to be red, and it's really hard to see them they feel more buried in this head than other versions of the RX-78, but his head Gatling guns there, that actually is a yellow plastic piece that is sandwiched underneath there, but yeah, that's really tiny, and it doesn't poke out like the other. Let's actually bring over the real grade, so this is going to be able to show off the comparison well. So yeah, that yellow piece really sticks out a lot more on the real grade kit compared to this Beyond Global Edition, but it is in there, and it is actually molded in yellow. So now here's the piece that I wish they had molded in color for this kit, and just had that same type of thing where you can sandwich them together and you can see it, and that is going to be on the sides here. You've got the black pieces underneath the grates here, so you don't need to go back, and you don't need to use like a Gundam marker or anything to color in these pieces on the real grade. However, on the Beyond Global, for some reason or another, I guess they couldn't figure out how to do it, but yeah, that's unfortunately not molded in black. I kind of wish it was, but that's one of a few things that I think is not great about this kit. But I mean, this is an HG kit. This is not a real grade kit, so for being an HG kit, it is quite a great kit. Now, the other thing that I kind of wish they had done for this kit, and they actually have done it for other HG kits, is I'm just not a really big fan of when you have the feet underneath the feet, and it's got these gaps. I understand why they need to do this for like the molding. They got to keep the part count down, so some pieces they kind of end up having to do this, but I kind of do wish that the feet was a solid piece of plastic like you have on the real grade there. So that is one other thing that I think was not that great about this kit. However, besides those two really minor quibbles, I will say, this kit actually is really one of the best HG RX-78 kits that they have ever done. And I mean, you would kind of expect that to really be the case with the kit that incorporates 40 years of Gunpla technology into it. So Yes, I just wanted to say that. I do have a few small minor quibbles about this kit, but otherwise this kit is quite excellent. And one of the things that really makes this kit excellent, and we'll talk about this next year, is going to be the articulation. So the G40th, now I did it was about 40 minutes I did a review of the G40th when this thing was released. This thing was quite crazy. This thing still remains the king as far as articulation goes, just because the amount of places they worked in articulation for this kit is just quite crazy. But that also kind of makes it a bit wobbly, a bit sloppy in some regards. So, but it is still kind of like the king for articulation. But I think what the Beyond Global kind of does is it really strikes a nice balance. Balance is a good description for this kit, I think. This is really Beyond Global. It's really kind of the most balanced, I think it's, at least for an HG kit, is in terms of details that they have molded onto the kit. It's not like a completely clean, smooth type of kit like we have here for the Revive version. It has some details that are ascribed in there. It's got the really nice color separation. You can see there on the side of the shoulder, so it's got some really nice details to it. It's not overboard on details, so you're not going real grade style overboard details on this kit. And the articulation is not that bad. It's actually really good. So they did a pretty good job of articulation on this kit. Actually, let's bring over the origin too. So the origin I think is just a step above in terms of detail, probably, for just the amount of lines they've got scribed onto this kit. So the real grade would be the most detailed of the 1/144 scale RX-78s. Then the origin would be next, and then third I would say the Beyond Global is probably the next best detailed. So it really does a nice balance of that. All right, so I really want to get into talking about the articulation for this kit, because they've done kind of a couple of new type things. So I keep mentioning, it feels like a common theme that I've been talking about when reviewing these HG kits lately. Not all of them, but a good number of them, is Bandai really keeps kind of really stepping up the game, just exactly what is an HG kit and exactly how much they keep increasing the amount of detail in these kits, and they keep doing better jobs as far as the articulation goes for these kits. So it's a common thing. These HG kits from Bandai, they just keep getting better and better as the years go on, and this is definitely going to be the case for this kit as well. So this kit is another HG kit that does not use any polycap parts, which is always a good thing in my opinion. So the HG Origin kit that I built not that long ago, that one is kind of based off of a slightly older style of mobile suit frame, which still uses polycap joints. But the G40th, I believe, had no polycaps on it. And the Revive, I believe it did have polycaps. It's been so long since I built that Revive. Definitely the older one had the polycaps as well. So this kit, no polycaps on it, and a few kind of new trick features for articulation in terms, at least for HG kits. So let's start off at the bottom of this guy. Let's go ahead and talk about his feet. So the feet here, it's not your standard type of just one of those ball joint type things on the foot there. No, you've got a couple of different joints working here. So you've got the foot here. There is a joint at the front of the foot that's going to allow you to kind of pivot the foot back, and that's quite nice. And then for the ankle there, you can kind of see here, it's got this other style of joint that's going to allow you to get some good range of movement as far as going front and back on the foot. Now also, this foot is able to rotate from side to side there, so that's going to be able to give you a wider range of posability there for that foot. That's what I want to say. All right, so moving up next to the knee. So the knee is going to be another double joint there. So a nice range of movement for that knee. So the waist here, let me move his arms up and out of the way so I can get a closer look. Yay! Let's take a look. So the front skirts here, the front skirts are individually, you can articulate these front skirts individually. So you don't, I think I did have to cut that in the middle, but it actually tells you. So a lot of times with the front skirts, they're attached by two kind of ball joints, and then you sandwich the little front piece onto the two ball joints. And the instruction manual, although you were able to cut those two pieces separately and still be able to sandwich them in here so you'd be able to articulate these separately, a lot of the times the manual does not actually specifically tell you to do that, but you can do it and be able to articulate those front skirts. But this time the manual actually did instruct you, hey, be sure to cut the piece here in the middle so that you'll be able to articulate those two separately. Yay. All right, so let's go on to talking about his waist here. Let me see if I can pull this up into the camera. So this is nice. So unlike the origin kits, let's see, where do I want to start? So for a lot of the original, the older style HG kits, mostly what happened with the waist part here was that it would just be kind of one solid piece of plastic, and then you just get like two solid pegs running out each side, and then you'd have a ball joint on the side, and that would allow you to kind of maybe move the leg around, and you could like twist it up and down because it would have just that simple ball joint. But that's not the case for this kit. With this kit, and then moving on, and then going on to the origin style kits. The origin style kits that would give you that the waist there, where you'd still have kind of like a peg in the middle, and then you would be able to, both legs at the same time would kind of go, you'd be able to move them up and down. But this kit, actually, you are able to articulate the legs independently up and down if you would like. So you've got that extra range of movement there for these legs. And let me see if I can put this one down there. So yeah, it's nice to be able to get that little extra up and down range of movement for the legs independently from each other. It's nice that they have worked that onto this kit. And then also you've got a joint that's going to be able to allow you to slide them completely diagonally like that. So that's quite nice as well. So up and down, you can move the legs up there, and you can twist them all around. So you can go quite crazy with the legs on this guy. He can pull off some pretty crazy moves. Look at that. So that's really, really nice to see. He's outside smoking, like compose. Like you see a lot of people out sitting outside, they're smoking, they're crouching down like that. Yeah. All right, so pretty nice range of flexibility. Oh no, he lost his waist. So you can see, so they're connecting the lower waist here to the torso is going to be a ball joint. So that's going to allow you to get a little bit of extra range of movement there on that waist piece as well. So let's talk about the waist here a little bit. So besides that ball joint, actually, you've got another joint in the center of the chest, which is, let me get that there, is going to allow you to be able to wiggle this guy about. And then also see if you can see that a bit better. You can actually pull the chest forward a little bit. So you're able to get a little bit of extra range of movement there for the chest, at least forward and back. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of extra flexibility is in there in the chest itself. So that is quite cool to see. All right, so moving on next to the head. So the head here, you're not using, since there's no polycaps with this kit, you're not using that standard neck polycap joint. There is you got a ball joint, so the head is connected to a ball joint, and then there's the lower part of the neck is also connected to the chest. So you're how do I want to say this? So yeah, you can upper and lower range of movement there for the head on this guy, which is nice to see. All right, so next, moving on to the arms. So the arms as well for this guy, they did a really, really, really great job of articulating the arms on this. So let's talk about actually the upper chest here. So on a lot of kits these days, you've got that kind of polycap ball joint in there, and it will, when you move the arm forward, it's going to kind of pop out, and the arm's going to be able to move out because that little polycap joint kind of swivels out a bit from the chest. And that's not, since there's no polycaps for this kit, they've engineered it a bit different. So this kit actually, and let's see if we can get this here. So actually, whoops. So here you can kind of see it. I lost a shoulder piece there, but I actually might be better to show this off anyway. So you are actually able to, did you see those pop out here? You see this? There's actually a joint here for this back kind of shoulder piece here. So this is going to be able to pull out a little bit, and then that's going to really allow you to be able to pose his arm. Look, he's able to dab. Look at that dab. So he's able to get the arm straight in front of his head itself. So that is quite cool to see. Another quite cool trick feature. Actually, it's probably best that I leave that shoulder off here so I can really get a better look at the arm and pull off the beam sabers. All right, so this arm piece here, so not only does it kind of swing out a little bit, but also it has a joint that allows you to go completely up. Look at that. That is quite splendid, I do have to say. Really great job on that. So, and because you are able to get this arm in the completely up position like so, you really are going to be able to pull off a very great last shoot, the famous scene from the end of the original Gundam series where his head is missing, his arm is missing. I'll take a picture in that pose and put it down below on the HobbyLink TV blog. So if you want to see this kit posed in that position, be sure to check out the hobbylink.tv blog post later on. But yeah, you can do that last pose where he's just kind of, not this arm, but the other arm, but he's just kind of shooting the gun up. Head is missing, an arm is missing. So that's kind of quite cool. So there we go. We can see the arm here. So yeah, you can spin this completely around, go quite crazy with this arm. So that is really nice to see. All right, so you also have another twist here. So not only can you twist completely this part here, but you can also independently twist this part here. So if you really want to go crazy with that, you definitely can. And then for his elbow is also going to be double jointed, and he's really going to be about, like, he's got his hand on his waist. Maybe he's a bit angry there. So you can articulate that a bit here. And the arm, or the lower arm, actually, this is able to kind of slightly, actually, it's able to slightly move around as well. And you get just a tiny bit more of a bit of articulation here on that lower arm. And then for the hand, you are going to get just your standard little type of ball joint. So that is quite good. So this kit does a really splendid job in terms of articulation, I do say. And not only because it doesn't have the polycaps, this thing is it feels like it's a really solid kit. It's not as kind of a bit crazy wobbly as that G40 gets, especially over time. It feels like those joints have gotten a bit looser as time goes on, and he is just becoming kind of being a bit of a pain to pose lately, my G40th. I guess maybe he's just a bit angry at the moment. I don't know. I mean, maybe because he's not the newest and best Gunpla anymore. But I still love you, G40. Alright, so that's going to be it then for talking about the articulation on this guy. Really great range of movement. Let's talk a bit about the weapons and the other items that he comes with. So let's start off with his shield first here. So the shield is really nice. No stickers on this thing at all. These individual colors are pieces molded in plastic, so that is quite nice. Really has some nice detail for this shield. Really looks quite great. It looks quite nice on the underside as well. And now this piece here is going to be, it has a joint to it, so it's going to be able to swivel up and down. So if you want to have him holding the shield in that kind of upside down style of pose, you can do that with this kit. And then it has the handle here, so he's going to still be able to hold on to it with his hand. But this piece here just kind of clips onto the side of the arm. None of those kind of peg type of things where you have to plug a peg into a hole. This thing just kind of clips over the side of that arm. So that is quite nice. All right, so then moving on next to the beam rifle here. So the beam rifle, and you get one trigger hand. So you don't get a left hand trigger. You only get the trigger hand for that right hand. Now his scope, the scope is going to be a plastic piece molded in yellow. And another nice thing about the scope, a lot of times when you get these plastic pieces for the scope, it's the piece that you're going to be sandwiching into it has a solid back. So if for some reason or another you ever needed to remove that, like say you wanted to build this, snap it together at one point, and then you wanted to go back and paint it at some point later, because that back is solid on a lot of the kits, it's really hard to get the piece out again once you've kind of snapped it in. So that is not the case with this one, because actually there's a hole in the back, and this yellow piece, you can then just kind of push on that little thing on the back, and you'll be able to get that yellow piece out if you ever wanted to again. So that is really nice to see. Other than that, it's a pretty standard beam rifle, I do have to say. It does have some really pretty nice, decent detail on it, but other than that, yeah, pretty standard fare. Also, speaking of standard fare for HG RX-78, now on his backpack he's got the handles, and of course, yes, this kit does come with 2 beam sabers. So if you're excited about the beam sabers, yes, this kit's got you covered. All right, now about the hand. So I mentioned the right hand, you get a trigger finger. Now equipped on the unit right now, I have 2 of the gripping hands. These are not solid gripping hands. They have holes in the middle, so you'll be able to hold on to stuff like the handle for the shield, as well as the beam saber handles. And there's only one other hand that this kit comes with, and that is going to be this open style hand. Now this hand looks quite nice, I do have to say. I'm not a really big fan of open style hands, but actually this one really does. It looks nice, and I actually wish the Bandai had given us a right hand version of this open hand, and I wish they had maybe actually given us, since they did a really nice job with this hand, I wish they had actually given us a few extra hand pieces that we could maybe use. But I know they do have that option set for extra 1/144 scale mobile suit hands, so maybe that would be something to look into if you wanted to go crazy with some extra hands for this guy. I don't know if that thing is back in production. It feels like it's been a while since that they made those option sets, and we haven't really gotten a whole lot of those lately. I can't remember the last time. It's been, maybe hasn't even been 5 years since they started to make those. Gosh, it's been a while since we've gotten some of those. I do kind of wish they would give us more of those, like extra funnel type of option sets, as well as the extra hand type of option sets. And at least Bandai put them back in production if they're not already. I haven't checked for a while, but anyway. All right, so gosh, yes, that is pretty much going to do it for this review on this kit. Now, I have decided, because this is not going to be the last time that we will be looking at a 1/144th scale RX-78 this year, because just last week Bandai announced they are doing that new entry grade version of the RX-78, which is scheduled to be released in September. So since this is not going to be the last of the RX-78s I am building this year, I've decided I'm not going to compare this unit to all of the... I do have all these other guys built here, so I was... Maybe if this was going to be the last one released for this year, I'd do a comparison between all of them. So I'm going to actually keep that for a separate version, a separate video. After that entry grade has been released, I think... After that entry grade is released, I'll do a completely separate video comparing all of the other 1/144th scale RX-78 kits. Maybe we can do like a ranking video, like rank which ones I think are best from best to worst type of thing. We'll have to see. But also, since that's going to be released in September, that actually does give me some time to go through, and I do have the first grade, that first grade 1/144 scale kit. I showed that one off previously, so I have that kit built, but I need to go back and I need to build a G30th. I know I've built one before, but I just can't find that one I've built before, so I need to build another G30th Gundam, and actually I think I will build one of the original 1980 release kits. I think I'll go back and I'll build one of these as well. I have this, but I'm not sure, because it just looks so... It really looks just nice on the runners itself, so I'm kind of hesitant to build this thing just because I like the look of this kit on the runners itself. But I do have one of these, so I will... Maybe I think I'll glue together one of these, and then I'll do like all the 1/144 scale RX-78 kits compared video later on this year after that entry grade kit has been released. All right, so with that said, I think that is going to be the end of this review for the Beyond Global Gundam. So yes, it's for, at least for HG kits, this is a really nice kit, I do have to say. It's got a number of cool new trick features. It's got that articulation, and I think this kit really does strike a nice balance between a level of detail and articulation and the cost. I don't believe it was that expensive. I mean, none of the HG kits are really terribly too expensive. And then the styling of this kit. So I think this is probably one of the best balanced RX-78 kits that they have actually released to date. At least for 1/144 scale. I don't think I've ever built all the Master Grade kits, so I couldn't tell you there. But yeah, it looks quite nice. Got great color separation, decent level of detail, the great articulation. So it's a really great kit, I do have to say. So definitely be sure to get your order in if you would like to build one of these as well, and be sure to stay tuned to our channel for the latest for videos about the latest releases, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back with more reviews and more shows up here in the future.